Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
They're all millivolts. That's all you got.
That's not all I got. Look at all these things. Because I think you got 2 plug kits, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
If you need some more wires or something for that ESC,
Sure that.
it's not a complete plug. I don't know if the flight controller comes. It doesn't come with that plug.
What?
Here.
Here we go.
I don't think this is the right plug.
Well, at least I got the plug kit, but are you talking about for the ESC?
Yeah, for the ESC.
No.
Do you have one of the? Did you buy one of those from RDQ?
Yeah, I can go ahead and order another one, because I'm waiting on Lucas to order
See, I
the,
don't think this is the right size. for that.
You got it.
I'm waiting on Lucas to order the torques. Anyways, so, it shouldn't be a big deal.
No, I mean,
Because I
I
had Adrian's as well.
That
not
would
super
be
worried about it. I
right
just,
for the
for
flight
those, for that
controller.
in particular, I just want to keep it with me, just in case.
Right.
So Dave,
So what about
Kind of
that?
state law, so I wanted to keep with me.
motors like to burn out stuff? To get hot or something?
Very similar.
Very similar, but not
Okay,
really.
So you just have to change the page.
Basic.
Oh, the opposite, yeah.
I know that these aren't as powerful.
There you go.
I saw a video of
Those
a
are,
guy, it was
Is
kind
that
of
a cookie
struggling at
cutter?
some point, it's just like, duh.
Just,
Definitely get
hey, for
started.
your,
Is that a cookie cutter?
Mechanics classes.
I'm saying those are in mint, they've never been opened, so they're probably worth a lot of money.
Is that really movable?
I mean, I doubt they're worth a lot of money. They're gonna get open when they
I don't even know which ones all are in there.
This is weird, they're requiring an AI for
I've
that.
seen like
so
clips and
Uh,
stuff.
It's all hateful hate stuff. Where'd you get that?
A friend of mine gave it to me for
Race
Christmas a couple years ago.
You just never opened.
I already got them.
Mm-mm. No, I just had them and
I did like
in the box. I had them on
people
my
today.
shelf, but
I'm trying to figure out if that point needs to be.
I'm not very kid that has to take it out of the box to play with it. You know?
I can make it work. Takes-
And then whenever we moved, I just
I already had it in the military,
together.
but I was gonna increase the,
Sounds like Luke.
yeah.
Sort of these days.
all right, let me go lock the door to, although we got plenty of people. Anybody got a gun?
I got 2 of them.
I'll lock the door.
I did over 1,000. I don't know if you heard that or not.
That's John. Here, this is you.
Expected more.
This
Softboard
thing,
intent from you, of all people here.
That's
the other piece.
referring to your. It's flyer like you.
All right, live chat. All right, hey Josh.
Well, it'll be done at 7 o'clock. It's just, I don't know if you wanted to use that to test your.
All righty. Luke, come on in, take a seat.
Are we streaming it?
Yeah.
Good time.
Josh is on there, Tim's on there.
I can read out the chat. Or do you have it right now?
Yeah, well, I'll holler at you if I need,
Alright.
we'll open it
Somebody
up.
else, Timothy.
We'll open it up to certain people.
Good.
Hey guys, take a seat, Luke. We'll get started. The first public board meeting of 901 FPV.
It's a milestone, right?
Skilled officers, in case anyone doesn't know, the current officers, which we do need to update this list, actually. Not sure if this is accurate. The president currently is Alec Lunsford, that's me. Vice president is Lucas Dearborn. Secretary is Ross Finn. Treasurer, who's doing a great job, is Ben Ashton. And public relations is Alex Gray. Safety officer is I currently have listed as Brandon, which may be true, which may, did we fill that spot?
That position got voted out.
Just completely removed.
Uh-huh.
We gotta remove. What's the, take that note, remove safety officer from the bylaws. All right. So the first order of business, I think we should probably go through the finances and see where we're sitting in the bank accounts. Because I don't think we're sitting too deep in the bank account.
Well, we're sitting all right.
So cash account's got $0 in it right now. PayPal's got $0 in it right now, but our bank account balance as of today is $856.11.
Did we get, payment from Multi-GP?
No payment from MultiGP right now.
Okay.
So do we have a call for like pending funds? We're counting on that, right? It's coming.
Yeah, so,
We sent the invoices.
yeah, we billed them, so. it's
Okay,
in
so
there
if we have
for-
a tally that land number of like what's our total fund including monthly GP, what is it?
It's 856 plus 750.
Minus 450.
Yeah, so we got a lap timer that we need to pay Alec.
Okay.
And then, our annual, timing software is, I think 120, which is due in February. And then we'll have summer gates and stuff, but
Yeah.
usually the race fees will cover 1-to-1 on those. So we're doing pretty good. We will probably be spending some money on the shed at some point because Barnstormers is not gonna cover 100%, I don't think.
They're covering 750, and I think we've only evened up
poles.
about 400 of that, and we got free poles.
Okay.
So we got those telephone poles. We can make that work. Telephone poles?
How
Or
tall do you, I mean, are you?
10 feet. If we're doing
I think
telephone
it's more
poles,
logistics of getting them out
They
there.
gave us
Right, well, what
well,
I'm.
no, we can get them brought out.
Did you pay for Ben?
Oh,
Brandon's the one who showed them to me. He has them.
free stuff.
Oh,
Brandon,
okay.
and he said he showed me the picture. and was like, if you guys want these, they're yours. And I can bring them out.
Right, perfect. No
Well,
problem.
the rule of thumb is you take 10% of the pole and add 2
Oh,
feet
once
to it to make it.
He said we could go.
I
He
got you.
wanted to.
Really?
My order.
Well, then
He said,
that's.
don't worry if you hit trash.
Okay.
So we got free poles.
How
So
tall are these poles?
How much?
I think they're 30 feet, but he can bring them all out and we
Cut
can
them in
chop them down.
half.
Yeah.
Man, I would, hang on to a couple of those 30 footers. That way we could, at some point, you know, to a light post. You know what I mean?
I don't know, 30 footer,
The 30 foot.
that's a little bit different because he's allowing us to go on the ground, but if they see a 30-foot pole out there, it may be a little bit
I got you.
Red flag.
different conversation. You can't really mount a 30-foot pole in 1 foot of soil. So, we can talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, going off of what Ben said though too, I think we should talk about some ideas for fundraising that we can do this year. I mean, I don't know if we need to do fundraising. or if
Well,
we just
and the
need-
thing is if we're just fundraising to fundraise, there's really no point.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, if we got some specific goals that we're trying to accomplish this year, then yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I
are there
think-
goals that we want to accomplish this year that would require?
I mean,
us
the
to-
only thing that we've been batting around in the past has been, a light tower, picking up a light tower for the group,
Light tower would be great. Batteries are gonna have to be replaced this year, more than likely.
for sure.
So,
Well, I don't know it for sure.
Do we
I
have
need to
any
go out and check
refresh
it.
come up?
hey, you know what? We could put some Epsom salsa in there. Watched AB's video.
They're blasting at it, so.
Do we have a gate refresh or flag refresh coming up with MultiGP?
No. Well, you know, it's kind of weird with the way that they're doing things now. The document, I think, says that we get 1 refresh a year. So we would get 5 new gates this year. Plus,
We got flags last year. Or how did we get flags, or was that a thing of?
one is when we got flags. I think we got those at the beginning of last year and immediately destroyed them. And then I bought the immersion ones.
Do we have anything? on the
Like at
agenda
my
about
heli
gate,
invasion,
Like club
destroyed them. That
hardware,
got y'all tier 1.
inventory. type
That got us
stuff?
tier 1.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. We did some stuff in the winter, I think, 1 year. That might have been 2 years ago that we got those flags, actually, I think.
That's actually a good idea. Should we
What was
have like
budget?
an equipment person?
Equipment.
Can that be rolled into a position or just like
Or-
created like a?
Well, the only reason why I'm saying is because they'll be responsible for flags, gates, and everything else. You know what I mean?
Are you
But it
saying
could-
you want that job?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
Responsible or just kind of keeping track
Well,
of
what's
what
the
we
go-to
do now?
guy?
Well, we've got 8 gates, 7 flags. Well, we're
We
down
need
to 6
stuff we
gates,
buy
4
or
gates. We
whatever.
need to,
Right, right.
You need-
But sometimes, you know,
you're just saying somebody to kind of keep more track of.
well, just to know where everything's at, I guess.
You have to.
I think that probably could be tabled until when it gets a little warmer and better weather. We can
see where we're sitting.
Yeah,
If you wanna put that stuff
A lot of that gets kind of left on the table.
yeah.
I mean, what are we looking at with batteries though? I'm just kind of wondering. I mean, is the AT&T deal a possibility again, or is that
It is, but it's gonna be probably $50 a pop.
it's better than the $200 a pop? So
But as opposed to how long do the $50 a pop batteries last?
It was 3 seasons, I guess, or 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
All right, how
But
much?
the thing is, we don't need 8 batteries under there.
No.
Right,
We could probably get away with 2 or 4.
I
right.
think we've hit we've bottomed it out before.
But I think that's just the old batteries. So
So, what about more solar panels for lights, like under the canopies and stuff like that?
Panels are an option, but we got those panels as steel. I don't know if we can get those panels again.
Right, I mean, it's just a thought because, you know, it gets dark on us and everybody's told
I mean, we've only bottomed it out once, and that was everybody pulling probably close to 100 amps off the batteries.
yeah,
But it quickly came back up. So
right, but I mean, we could, you know, put some
Actually,
LED
our
lights,
next site right
you
now
know,
is
under the
gonna have-
canopy to,
We're trying
you
to
know,
figure
give
out
us the
what
light,
we're
just
gonna get.
because I wouldn't think it would. pull
No,
lights from
lights.
there.
no, there's lights under it right now.
Yes, I'm talking about under the canopy.
Oh yeah, we just buy a couple more of those.
Yeah,
They
those-
don't draw anything
Yeah,
10 watts. I mean,
if they're on.
Yeah.
So
right,
it shouldn't be anything with that. So that's not a big deal, I don't think at all.
right. But it should, like this year, you're saying the batteries are probably going to need to be replaced, right?
I don't know that for sure.
Right, but like,
I mean, it's still working, right? So
Yeah, we do need to get that monitoring system.
We have had some voltage alarms on
Every,
chargers.
recently, and it all started recently.
recently, well, the thing is so people that don't have 24-volt chargers will go in and clamp onto the batteries individually, and what it does is it pulls that one string down.
I've seen that, so maybe we need to balance them and see what we can do from there. I've seen that, but
So I think we got 2 bad apple batteries in there that's pulling the whole string down right now.
okay. Can we put, would the voltage monitoring system allow us to monitor?
I got a handheld meter and go out there. I just got to test the batteries.
Well, what I mean,
Test them.
I guess what I was wondering is too, is if we put a voltage monitoring system on there, we'd be able to see each cell.
Not each cell, but we'd be able to see cells 1 through 6 and 6 through 12.
Okay. Okay, because we have,
They're 12-volt batteries.
yeah, okay.
So you can see the 12-volt side and then the 24-volt side.
I think whatever we need to do, I mean, that would be nice to have that, just so we know where they're sitting. I don't know how much that would cost, but I think 901 could,
$10 at that.
901 could afford that. You probably don't even want to handle it.
No.
Okay, so a couple of things we want to accomplish is possibly new batteries. Still evaluate if we can find a light tower. I think that's still in our mindset, but that's about $800 to $1,000, I think, was some of the prices we were seeing.
If we get it
You
cheap.
start keeping your eyes out for equipment auctions.
Okay.
Like that one, did they ever contact you back?
yeah, he contacted me back, but, he said that they wasn't gonna work on it. It needed to be rebuilt. And that.
Were they firm on that?
No, yeah, because he was saying that they're about, I think, $8,000 new.
Well, that doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
right.
It's not new.
No, I'm saying as opposed to, hang on one second.
I mean, we do have option two of at some events, getting the light tower from the landfill.
And the rental wasn't that bad. I think it was $130 or something like that. If that for a
He's
weekend.
got, or he had one with a good engine, for $3,500.
Do you know anybody on the police force that could confiscate one?
I got a question though. Realistically, you said it's 130 rental, right?
That's a lot of rentals.
Huh?
That's a lot of rentals too.
I mean, how often do you see us using it? I mean, like if it's $1,000 or more, and we're only realistically gonna use it 3 or 4 times. Is it worth
Well,
it?
there's a convenience factor too, right?
Yeah, we don't use it because
I
right
mean,
now.
it's 4 hours of my time to go pick it up and drop it off too, so.
I mean, if we had it out there and we're out there flying, I mean, in the summer, would you fly later if we could sometimes?
Especially in the fall, instead of it being dark at 9 o'clock when we stop flying, it starts.
Plus it would create
6:45.
camping trip opportunities.
So, let me ask you this,
Night
why
base opportunity.
Yeah, that's
can't,
right, that's
why
good.
can't we
That's
base
also-
During the
a
middle of the
tower
summer,
with
night bases.
LED lights
It gets so
off
hot.
of the canopy that doesn't have to go into the ground?
Mostly because those light towers that you can move around, you can move it to a spot in the track that's convenient for whatever track we have set up. When you put LED lights just in one stationary position, shining down, first of all, the flood has to be crazy. And second of all, it'll blind you on one side of the track. 9 times out of
They're
10.
coming back around.
Yeah, the light towers, because they put it up high for one reason, but they also can do a 360 view around it, so. We've tried like doing, I think, spotlights and floodlights on one side of the track. Actually, we tried it with the light tower, it was further away on the actual airfield.
Yeah,
And when you came back, because of it being further away, it was actually lowering your horizon. You
right,
couldn't see anything.
just wash it out.
Yeah, it needs to be in the center.
And the thing is, I've looked into trying to replace an LED, and it's a lot of LEDs that you gotta buy to get to
Right.
that same wattage.
Oh, do the same, yeah.
The only other option would be if there are any like baseball fields or anything like that being torn down, we could actually erect like a baseball light. Like
But it can't go deep enough at
Into the ground, it's gonna be.
Right.
It's.
But that brings up,
Trash.
I'm talking about that.
that brings up, Terry Ryan, who is with neighborhood or park friends or whatever.
Friends of the park.
Friends of the Park, that Kennedy Park,
I
they're,
think that's probably a whole separate discussion that we're gonna have.
okay,
We'll roll in.
but yeah, it was
New business.
lights.
All right, well, we're not really using Robert's Rules of Order here, but, second thing is, D. Wayne's role in 901 FPV, which I may have kind of covered some of it, possibly having somebody that's I don't know if that's a possibility, but the equipment guy.
What are you talking about doing, Drove? I think it's
We nominated him into the board as a temporary position, as a what's the title of that?
He's kind of like the head of the party planning committee.
Yeah.
he's-
Well, we gave him an official.
Better title than that, come on.
Okay, so can we do something before, like, we have roles.
I mean, we
These
got
roles have-
4 board positions right now.
These
and-
roles have,
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to step down at this moment.
well, I'm thinking about
Yeah.
stepping down, but I also wanted to clarify something first before, like, I step down and like, maybe vote for, I don't want him to just like shoe in, but also like, can we assign, me stepping down is also not like me not being one involved, it's just like, not diluting, but we kind of like diluting the board member group of less likely.
But we also have the opportunity to create another board position.
To create another board position,
'Cause I-
maybe an equipment manager.
Because are we 4 or 5 right now?
We
Five.
are 5.
We're 5. okay.
Yeah. President, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and PR.
Safety equipment was 6, but we didn't, need 6.
We don't really need that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not something, I think we did this
So
based off of we have to have like by law, like 5 positions or something, or just like
we
that.
had to,
We have to have a board of directors.
Okay. And we didn't want to make it just like 2 people.
and we made positions and you assume our treasurer isn't assumed as a regular role, but like,
VP
moving
and
forward,
President is a.
yeah, can we assign like certain, not duties, but like things you're generally gonna be responsible for, so like there's a pecking order and like things get done and stuff like that, have a position going forward as a club, you know, we're making it public and people wanna be involved, stuff like that.
It's fine with me. I mean, I'm not,
Just opening up for discussion so that we could like, you know,
I mean, we can also do
add some
committees too,
description. Yeah,
that's fine.
board appointed committees.
committee, okay.
Yes. Section 4 of the bylaw says the board may appoint standing ad hoc committees as needed. So,
So basically, what's the role of the VP of our group? When, like, it's just a justice?
It's just a voting position,
Okay,
really.
yeah.
so would it be worthwhile to add something to it just so that we can like do more with the board? I don't know, is it worth it to? We want to grow the club, right? I mean, can we like put some things that we want to aspire to and like start?
Well,
Just
I
so,
mean,
just so that I understand, I hear you saying words, but I don't understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I get it.
What do you mean by?
Like the safety officer, what's the safety officer do? Well, when we get done.
When we run a race, the
yeah.
safety officer is supposed to be the one who
Okay,
handles
so
a
the
lot of
safety
these.
officer is the guy that checks in the closet at races, trying to put some roles to these positions.
So the safety officer's role is to make sure that people, one thing that hasn't been being done is if we're running like a 5-inch race, sign the waiver, check AMA and all that crap. We don't have anybody
And we could
doing
do
that.
that, I mean, like,
And I usually have somebody I delegate that off to
right.
day of.
so you're talking role and responsibilities, right? So
Just something-
treasurer is pretty obvious, right?
Right.
Public relations is pretty obvious,
Right.
right? President and vice president, you're gonna be handling logistics and
Okay.
running meetings and stuff like
Okay.
that.
I try to see like
Delegating and-
the president too is a liaison between us and multi-GP somewhat too. So, and vice president can also take that responsibility as well.
I guess they're just not in written
Right.
form.
And
They're
that's
just, they
all
kind
I
of
wanted
assumed,
to
yeah.
do, right. I don't want things to be assumed, just like put things in writing
Well,
going forward, let's be.
And at the same time, like, I feel like part of the thing was like, we put the board together just to have,
We needed it at the time when it served its purpose.
yeah, and it wasn't really so much as like we didn't really make any big decisions that really required like a big voting block. I mean, but we did go that way and do it with stuff. So, I mean, that's just kind of how I feel about it, so. Dwayne's rolling that one after me.
I mean, yeah, I don't.
I mean, what do you wanna do?
Right, I don't have to have a role. All I was suggesting is that we make it to where everybody feels like they have a voice. You know what I'm saying? And by that, I mean, I'm not saying now, but like in the future, I think that the board should be voted on. You know what I mean? As the club grows or whatever.
I don't think we'll
So,
change any
so the
positions,
problem with
but-
that stipulation is we would have to make an inclusive club,
Mhm.
which we're not an inclusive. So we would have to have a membership base
Right.
to define our voting parties. And if you do that, you might as well have membership fees and all that other
Okay. Well,
stuff.
see, and that's where I was getting at is that
Something
you
we
know-
want to go towards, do we want
No, I don't want a
Uh-uh.
logistical nightmare.
you,
I don't want dues.
so you,
For people. I don't want to do this for people personally, but that's me.
right, right, okay. So your idea though is just from us getting money to buy stuff is to do races and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, fundraising events and stuff like that too are good. You know, we haven't done that in the past, but it definitely could be done.
In the past, I mean, I would say that fundraising for us was kind of
Like build days and stuff like
was
that,
essentially fundraising,
Right.
things like that.
So I guess if I was like stepping down, is that now we would have to like move forward to initiate a vote to like put someone in that position and he wants to be in it and we all, now he has a position in the board.
Well, you would step down
And
and
be like
then it would
equipment
be,
manager, which is
okay.
not a board member position, but it's a 91 activity position, right? Or something, you know?
Well, are you saying we want to include another board position? or
No,
we
just
want-
like have some responsibility. I'm always gonna have like be involved in equipment and stuff and be around and have an opinion on all
Right.
this stuff, so.
Right, I think he's saying like, you know, like the vice president would be part of like like dealing with equipment and maybe safety and stuff like that. You know, I mean, I'm not saying to step
Yeah.
down so I can have it.
No,
I mean,
and
because of
me stepping
anybody
down is
else.
not me saying I'm not gonna be any less involved, it's just like kind of giving someone else an opportunity to like be on the board and make decisions.
So many difficult decisions we make.
I think that one, FPV can be pretty big and like I think we will get to a point where we need to like, you know, get stuff done. Already
Yeah,
was showing
yeah.
with Tommy and stuff like that, like you and D-Lane represent as well.
Well, I mean, what I guess is your vision of 901?
Where do you want to be in 2020? I don't want to,
I'm just continuing to grow the club. I mean, just all I care about is that we have a good club with people that like each other, and I feel like that's where we've been. I've seen.
Wish you would have said that first.
No, I mean, I see a lot of the stuff. Like, I mean, just actually speaking with Tommy Bartek, surprisingly, of other people. I mean, like, it seems like the clubs down in like Huntsville are pretty sure Huntsville, have terrible relations with each other. And they were one club split into three, and now they all hate each other. There's a club out in Vegas. There's 3 clubs that apparently hate each other, and somebody pulled a gun on them. So all I care about is that we're a good club, that everybody meshes well together, and we are inclusive, right, to everybody at the same time. So I feel like we've done pretty well with that. I feel like I want to, in the future, continue to build either somewhere that we can call our home field. I want to do that via a method where first of all, the board doesn't have to pay for everything. And that's why we originally started the club. Because there was a point in time where there were certain people that were basically paying for everything.
Right.
And when we started the club, that was kind of the goal in that, was to get away from having those people having to chunk up all their money to pay for everything that we were doing at the time. So I want us to have a home field, whether that's wherever we are. I just want us to have that established. And then,
That's a good goal. I mean, to establish a home field, and that requires like stepping stones to get there. So like, progress is progress. So
We also need to figure out how to keep the people that we get to come out to our events and keep them coming to the next one and the next one. It's not.
I mean, situations happen as
Yeah,
far
it
as like
does.
Saturday versus Sunday and like family games.
I dealt with that a lot.
I mean, I hate handholding. Be like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do it or not?
nominate Ben for the hand holding committee.
No.
Yeah, and you get waves of people too, like, Brandon is a good example. For a while, he was at every single race, was progressing, seemed like he was gonna be a part of the community forever.
I miss him.
I think that, like, those of us who have been around for the longest, who have stayed in it, you kind of know who's gonna keep doing it. But that doesn't mean that at some point somebody else is going to just say, I can't do this, or move, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part of this community, is it is niche. So it's very difficult to establish a base of people that, for the purpose of the board and continuing the community, would be like a clientele that continue to contribute to everybody,
It's also a pretty young community too, so there's a lot of people that go through different stages in life and everything like that. People becoming, getting married, people turning 16, driving cars and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
remember, and also you just disappear because something like
Message or chat on here.
all right, Josh says, I think the biggest thing to help a club would be to get new people to join and retain them. Actually, I was about to just touch on that. That's something that's actually part of like why Multi-GP this year is trying to focus on, we're trying to do the intermediate or sportsman class.
engagement.
I think that's wonderful.
Is
Because
it-
I'm gonna dominate that.
Hey,
Which is what-
you put that flight one board on, you're gonna sweat 2 seconds faster, man.
Yeah.
And you won't be intermediate.
It's one of those things where the hobby, people are saying the hobby's dying and things like that, but it's really,
seasonal.
Well, there was a bubble at the beginning, but there's.
there was a bubble. People are buying from, I think a lot of people saying the hobby are dying. There's certain stores that just people aren't buying from anymore. I don't really know. I mean, I know RDQ and Pyro are doing just fine.
The numbers across the board are down, and RDQ and Pyro are doing fine, but that's because they're the biggest ones,
Mhm.
and they're not doing as good as they were before.
I haven't seen any.
One of the biggest problems though is like every 3 months they're coming out with something.
I think that's kind of slowed down.
That's
Yeah.
gonna-
Oh, dude, you should have been here in
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
2015,
gonna continue to
2016. This
happen.
is slow.
Yeah, but when a single company like T-Motor released like 3 revisions of the same motor in 3 months.
In the summer,
In the
yeah.
summer.
Right. I mean, and that's, they're the ones that.
Well, I think we should say like, we did have how many pilots actually put in a lap go past race?
You didn't get to do it.
In the past race?
I think it's.
We had 19 people attend, and I think all of them flew. I mean, that was
That's a milestone.
one of our.
FME is going down.
It's actually our second biggest race. I looked it up.
second.
Yeah.
How far
One of
back?
the first ones.
We had a
Probably
20
our
person race.
Like in 2015 or 16.
Well, it was the Heli Invasion.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I said that the other day when
I
somebody said, "Oh, this is our biggest race." I was like, "No, I think Hell Invasion was larger."
The first
We had
Heli
18.
Invasion. We had 20 registered pilots.
The 18 showed up.
Maybe you're right.
So I'm trying to say.
I'd have to look at it. So it was 19, but either way, it's growing, I think. I mean,
Well, right. So
we have at this
said
moment in
we're
time,
doing-
I think we have more new people than we have. I mean, every year, every Christmas, we seem to get an influx. But I feel like this Christmas, we got a
We've
much
had the most influx of young kids,
yes,
so.
and more, I think we can get coming into the hobby.
Well, I think the key this year is gonna be consistent racing.
Yeah, last year, I think we can all admit that some of us dropped the ball, and that's
Well, I think it's gonna happen again this
That's
year.
that's one of the big things, man, about having people who are not traveling pilots putting on races. I mean,
And I think that's what's big.
Last
stuff,
year-
stepping off and Dwayne getting on board, that's gonna be great this year.
I agree. Last year we had less home races than the year before, but we went out of town more last year than the year before too. So it was like, I mean, God, we were going out of town all the
Every
time.
other weekend.
Yeah.
we were going
I
out.
had a blast.
It was great.
I
but
actually-
that's not good for the local community.
I actually do have that in here as part of this is getting other people to run races. I put like me and Lucas don't mind running them. D-Wayne's kind of stepped up and started doing this more too. But I would love to teach people how to set up a race all the way through that, and it's kind of like just more mentorship with
Is
them.
that a responsibility you're willing to take on?
Yeah.
If we're
Yeah.
traveling
He's
around?
working on it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your chat.
Yeah, it's not even.
Chat. Sorry. Big incentive for prizes, winning races. If there are prizes to be won, races, we can announce the prizes beforehand.
We can allocate, we have now had fun, we can allocate some money we can spend for sponsors for prizes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the problem has been, I think, in the past like years that sponsorships for races just dried up. It's done. I mean, you ain't getting sponsorships for races right now. Shannon's
Within
the industry.
in the
In
industry.
the industry.
I mean,
I
Shannon
think we
is.
can use some of our resources to get some discounted parts.
We can. It's kind of like we have to budget, everything that we want to accomplish, buying gates, doing all that kind of stuff. At the same time, spending money on that.
But is it the biggest motivational factor you coming and possibly winning stuff is the motivation for you coming out to racing? I mean, is that a good thing?
No,
I
that's
think
how you. That's how
engagement,
you.
engagement is one thing in friends. I think, I love those, like, so the more people we know and that want to come out, I think one goal that we could do is like, can we extract the all the email addresses from our chapter or whatnot, or, so one goal we could set going forward is getting and running email lists and constant communication back after the club so that we can get more engagement.
I think the biggest thing with that is the Telegram chat. The people that are active on that seem to come to all of our races. And I don't know if that's because we're not communicating well with the other guys, but we did it for a long time on Facebook and our numbers were terrible.
But
But
it's
once we
still
got,
on Facebook anyways.
yeah,
And we all share.
Well, I
we
mean,
all
like,
share it.
you look at what metric do we have to show membership of 901 MPB? We don't want to go through logistics of figuring out all this stuff, but like, can we find a way of like, just put out something and like, if you're an active member, 901 MPB, or just want to claim this as your home, like, let's get a number of how many people are from Memphis and are in this
Well, I
club.
mean,
Maybe
it'll
not
be race
everybody to
attendance.
yeah,
Or
right.
maybe not even go to races because we have a lot of freestylers and a lot of pilots here. People that come out, like, how many pilots do we have? We have 400 people in our Facebook group, but how many people from Memphis?
So all 400, I guarantee. Well, I don't know.
What?
Can you get that breakdown information from
I
Facebook?
think you I don't know if you.
What's-
By geographic
Depends
area?
on the
A heat map or
individual's
something?
profile setup.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a way to pull a heat map of people pinging your like that IP addresses.
Yeah, it's
pulling
called
up.
Facebook metrics or something like that. or easy.
Yeah.
And one of the main things, I didn't join. I didn't want to come out here for the races to win. I came out here because I knew that it was going to be a fun group of people and that I was going to have a fun time. That's the main reason I like to come out here and fun.
Racing's to me, racing is less than 5% of the FPV population. So the more we can engage the other people by not believing in racing, then we're gonna keep
I
running.
mean, we need to continue doing stuff like the tiny hawk. Why is
Like
that
the Fun
become so
Fly.
big?
Races.
Because it's fun.
My thing is.
Well, we need to do fun flights.
Fun.
then.
Yeah.
Just,
It doesn't have to be a fun flight.
Well, flippy dudes around the
I
park.
think even just like naming it something different.
So I want to take like the micro gates that we have and set those up at Barnstormers and fly tiny whoops on a real course outside. Fly the 2S tiny whoops. Fly things of that nature. 75 tiny, don't necessarily fly 2.5 inch or 3 inch. And have days where that's set up on the side as well as flying 5 inch. And also 5 inch tracks cannot be a huge extravagant hard maneuver, we have to have, like we call the Joker pass or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
if we're gonna have big loops and dives and things like that.
Gotta allow people to bypass that.
Yes.
I think we started doing pretty well with that at the end of the year. We need to continue that,
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah, but Dwayne has to know he's gotta hit some of the gates.
Another.
Dude, he's just having fun.
Yeah, I'm just looking to finish a pack, man. Come on now.
You're talking about the popularity of Tiny Hawk, and this is sort of the same vein of getting people involved. In the past, when we did like the fit and when we did the race inside of their University of Memphis in their parking garage, and they were super supportive of that. They're going to bring back the college, or well, they're not going to bring it back, because they're going to make the college series bigger again. I was reading about it, and I guess that for a university that has been so involved with us in the future, and this sort of goes back into what we're going to talk about later with the Kennedy Park deal. In the future, if we could be involved with the home field with them, and be integrated in that. The Indy Astros out there that are going to college that are flying.
They have a huge ass practice facility out there, Get Well Park.
I can talk to them this next weekend too about, a lot of those guys are the engineering side, but I don't see why they wouldn't have something that was like a drone racing league,
Right.
part of the multi-GP league.
Well, when I talked to Rami about it up to him at the end of last year,
Yeah,
it's all about budgeting. I mean, it comes down to is something they have interest that people want to do it, and like who's going to pay for it? Is it the student taking the cost or all that stuff? So there's not many programs that are actually like.
I think that's the issue with them is they're thinking about it from the engineering point too, but you could also think about it from the sporting aspect as well. And I don't know if that's how other universities are doing it.
So Rami's not going to do it. So it's basically is they're going to pay for instructors, someone going to do it for people. Well, it's kind of like where Memphis is at. Not that they don't want to do it, but just like who's going to do it.
Well, if they were involved in the community and which they are, right? But in some official capacity, like if this, this Eric's Field or whatever is sponsored by University of Memphis, and the kickback on that would be like, say if it was at Barnstormers, right?
Who is the University of Memphis pilot right now?
Well, there's not
I don't know,
one.
so we might have to do some recruiting and like okay.
There is one guy, mechanical engineer out there that's flying, but he hasn't been to the race yet.
So that's my point though. is
They
that
just haven't progressed enough.
if they're not involved in it at all, and we're just waiting on somebody
Their
to.
thing is they want us to come out to make it exciting to get more kids to enroll in their programs.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's our fault for not reaching out more and getting more
So
content
Yes.
out to University of Memphis.
Yeah, I think so too. I think if we show them that it's more of a
Reaching out to their
STEM,
students, like-
it's a STEM kind of thing for them. If we could show them that, it would be
Yeah.
something
They
more.
gotta have like some kind of robotic competitions or something like that, right?
Yeah, they do.
Those are easy to get funding for.
Josh has been, the prize incentive is big for letting beginners know that the payoff for all the work they put into learning the hobby. We've already captured people like me that just purely want to fly and race. The key is new people in the hobby, and people, especially kids, are attracted to shiny things like prizes.
Right. So, like part of.
Everybody gets a smokestack.
Well, part of our budget should be towards advertising. We should have like a generic flyer up or something, or have one, and then have one for.
Do we have an I01 FPV page, not Facebook group?
Website.
Page, like we could allocate, we have fund, allocate X amount of dollars per year to Facebook or Instagram advertising to help push our group up there.
But I think if
Would that benefit
you were
them?
interested in this, I think we've got enough internet presence that you could find us.
I
You
mean,
don't think so?
The people that I've found in the wild have had no idea who we were.
Like,
Yeah,
They
that
search.
guy right
The
there.
TJ guy just
Yeah.
helped the other
I
day. He had
never-
no clue.
I
When
didn't
I
either.
found it.
Did he know about multi-GP?
No.
That's almost a
Racing,
multi-GP.
that's the thing, when I got in last year,
5%.
when I started into it last year, I found out about you guys at the hobby shop.
That's exactly
On
right.
on White Station.
That's
what's
exactly
his
where
face,
it's at.
We need
Emo.
cards.
I'm just
Not
saying,
emo, not
Uh,
emo. It's the young,
Don.
the bald-headed guy.
Yeah, it's Don.
Yeah, he told me to look for you,
Yeah.
Alec. He said, Alec.
Yeah, I mean, I had-
but
but why did you
I
get
found
there?
you,
How
and
did you
then
get
we
there?
met up with the flight controller that day. That's when I
Just
first.
because it's
There's
an
lots of people that
You
don't
just
even
rolled
know
in
about
there,
the
or
hobby
was he there
shop.
for a reason?
There's only one.
I knew.
To fix
Oh,
something.
no.
The thing is,
Oh.
my view on that has been, if you wanted to get into this, I mean, you can find a way, but I mean, we can do advertisement, we can do, we can do things. I think things like us working with the FedEx, working with the university more.
Will give us a lot of publicity.
I think that'll give us a lot of publicity. I've tried to get the news out to many of our races, and it's almost being impossible.
Okay, so on that, just so that I can finish that thought with the university.
Yeah.
If like the Barnstormers was our home field and we could get Barnstormers to incentivize the University of Memphis to be involved. If the University of Memphis gets involved, helps out with things, and then they have maybe free membership for, or whatever, a bridge membership for the students that come out. Okay, in turn, at the University of Memphis football fields, we can put up a banner, or there can be something on the big screen that says, you know,
That would get the news
when
out.
when we have events coming up, somebody they put out something, because now they sponsor it, they're involved in it, and they want other people to be involved in it.
In their newsletter.
Yeah,
Like,
be in their
the
newsletter,
news would
whatever.
actually come out because the university is involved.
When people hear drone racing, they want to go at least see it.
Yeah, at least see it, yeah.
And if we could reach the 1,000 people or whatever, or however big the stadium is,
It's like, I think it's like 1,200.
1,200.
At my school, I'm
I don't know.
hopefully next month starting my drone club, and we're really pushing for the FPV, like a racing team with the kids, and that is pretty positive. We'll be picked up from the news,
Oh, cool.
and we'll definitely drop.
Free advertising.
I think it's great. I think there's a lot of great ideas. What are we to make it go forward? Do we do committees or like action items? Like who's responsible for taking these things and making them happen? Are you leading that kind of
PR,
deal?
Yeah, I'll go to the the Kennedy Park deal is a whole different thing.
So
but-
taking that forward, we're making a relationship with Barnstormers, then connecting with the University of Memphis.
Yeah,
I
I would like to set up a meeting and go and talk with the guy at the University of Memphis. I've never met the guy.
Well,
So they got an intramural sports team out there?
It's a college.
I'm
Yeah,
sure. Okay, I would almost go to that area too.
Yeah, no, I didn't talk to Rami yet. Go straight to the
Yeah.
parks guy and the sports guy.
Let's
Yeah.
let's talk with them about it too, and let's see if we can't get them involved with us going to another department to, talk about it as a.
yeah.
I mean, we can talk to them about it when we're there next weekend.
Yeah, we need to go to like their public outreach programs, because whether they sponsor things like a walk in the park or whatever, like their name gets put on that stuff, and it's not getting put there arbitrarily. They're involved.
The weirdest thing too for this hobby is too, it's mostly in the summer, which most colleges aren't, but it's also Memphis, University of Memphis isn't that large of an out-of-stater college, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's mostly local people.
Hell, they may let us use a facility to go flying doors. So
We
doors may open.
We can communicate with them more on that, and I think we should talk to them about that this weekend when we're there. That kind of goes on this publicity race stuff that we talked about. I had publicity race, so I think the fit kind of stuff. I'm going to talk to them this week about seeing. We got some numbers for the race signed up. It looks like 11 to 12 people, maybe probably jump up to about 15 by the end of the week. If we can get the news out for that, because they're also having like a game dev thing, and then
Is that this coming weekend?
and like a blockchain.
Not tomorrow.
Saturday. Oh my goodness.
A week from tomorrow.
So that's
Well, I
gonna
know
be-
like when Winjet picked it up, he shot his own video.
Shot his
And
own
the
video.
news was just lazy and just picked that video up and used it.
He
So,
sent it to him, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine with me too, whatever we gotta do, but,
Hopefully it's a slow news day.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like we can communicate with them. If we get the University of Memphis to communicate with them saying, hey, we have these 3 things going on this weekend. We have this game dev conference, we have this blockchain thing, and then we have a drone race.
Right.
They may be more willing to come out and see that. And at least we get featured, and they mentioned 901 in there.
So do we have a time for the main heat that we want to start, and we can have them come out for like the main event.
I would say that they show up at about 3, is what I would tell them. And I'll talk to Rami or whoever.
Timing was always the worst thing, trying to get people flying after the stuff going.
We can, if they're gonna record, we can put up a race.
Yeah, whatever.
So I got publicity race. I think that's good. I mean, we could do another university. We could talk to one of the universities. Oh, actually,
Christian Brothers?
a guy,
No, but I was gonna bring that up.
a guy contacted me. I think it was hidden in the chat about Christian Brothers. What's
Someone contacted me, they wanna have someone, basically have a drone race during one of their halftime shows.
Choo!
Okay.
And, that's on Dwayne,
Yeah.
we're trying to get in contact with.
Halftime show? What sport?
Football, basketball.
basketball a little bit harder than
I don't
football?
think
College?
Christian Brothers.
Yeah, Christian Brothers University.
Basketball, we can do Tiny Hawk.
Yeah,
We could set those out, bang, bang.
we just get some gates with enough volunteers to like run out, set
Maybe
the
like
track
a
out in
15
30 seconds.
We
run
could.
out.
That's an easy one too, because it's just like
I know.
you buy this kit kind of thing, push them off on that,
Yeah.
and give them
We
more
got
information.
pamphlets and
Have the TVs set up.
Well, Tom
Yeah,
from Putt Putt said that he could
Shouts about-
probably get us a Grizzlies game too.
Hey, so one more idea, and I'll also, take the lead on this too, but I'd just like to put it down as official. Let's try to get into, Memphis is has a bunch of things like Comic Cons. There's the Kumite, the gaming thing that's well, it's right outside of Memphis, but let's try to get into one of those things too. We could, set up on a side and do Tiny Hawks
Like
there.
the Little Rock kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's thousands of people at those things, and they're all over the place.
I did a lot with that with Mid-South Makers, and I just, we couldn't get any pull from those events.
Couldn't get in or couldn't get any pull.
Couldn't get any pull.
Well, there's a difference between CNC and FPV.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not
The letters
knocking the
are-
makers.
A lot of,
They're all
I mean,
the
it is a
same.
lot of like
Letters.
gamers and things like that would be going to Comic Con and.
Well, the thing is
interested in-
Cosplay guys and stuff like that.
See, guys, it's mostly just talking. That's what we
the
do.
reason why I was
Yeah, about
asking,
seven.
that's the reason why I was saying like the video game ones or,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know. It's just an idea.
All you have to do is take an X-Light out there with a Tiny Hawk.
Fly this
Oh
way.
man, I guarantee you,
If
you
you
have
have
a
enough anything
I think
for spectators,
The CBU thing, if we can get a
Right.
meeting scheduled with them, I'll be more than willing to go on that too. So let's work on that. I'd like to get that going. The university, I think, will be good. See, somehow this Christian Brothers University guys found us. I don't know how that worked.
When they finally
They-
started Florida, enough, they did.
I
The
would
But
say,
even I
is a
built my whole
extension
first
of the
blog
other.
and got
Fingers
through
full.
days of frustration. Even looking on the internet, trying to find and just didn't search properly to find 901 FPV.
Yeah, which not, you don't know that first step to take to find that one.
I would say.
Yeah, cause I looked too, and that's like, I built that UGA quad.
And that's
And
why I was-
anybody can get an account for it.
Also, I think that-
How did I meet you?
It's a WordPress site.
That has to do with nomenclature too, because if I when I used to travel for work, every city that I went to, I would just type in FPV in Tampa. It's like
Yeah,
there was
sure.
always something
You
there.
can always find it. We're the second search for Memphis drones. We're in the second page, which does suck, but there's a lot of like WRG. There's a lot of stuff that it's hard for us to compete against because it's like the Memphis government is working with the University of Memphis for recovery drones and all that stuff. And it's hard for us to get SEO above that.
Yeah,
Um,
drone lands, airplanes.
So who's gonna be responsible for following up Christian Brothers?
Yeah,
D-Wing's got a contact. Let me know. First thing, we just this is, I think, already decided, but we have it on the agenda. Bumping the annual meeting up from 1 year to quarterly.
so do you want to just schedule the second, this is the Q1 meeting, what's the Q2 meeting, let's put a date on it.
April 1st. Yeah, it's real close to when we're out of town for the race in Mayhem. So no, it's the 6th. So do we like weeknights or do we like weekends?
I like weeknights,
Friday included?
unless we come in with a race and we can show up early or do something, I don't know, but that's
Monday, the 8th of April? No, we're just getting back from Mayhem. Is that fine?
Why don't you do it for like that Friday?
The 12th?
Friday meetings are
Board meeting. April 12th.
I'm a down vote for Friday meetings. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not to say so, but I'm a down.
Thursday.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is just because get back from,
Thursday?
Thursday.
I don't care about Monday after man, that's all I
I
mean.
mean, if it's here, this is perfect for board member meetings. I don't think we'll get much more than what we got here.
Alright, so Thursday, or somehow I put it on Friday, the 11th, Thursday, the 11th, board meeting.
April,
Yes, April 11th.
same time.
Same time, same bat stuff. Okay, so that's done. There is a note on here for Memphis City affiliation. I think that's you.
So, I guess the real question with this is if we got to the point where Memphis, the city said, here's your spot, you can have it. It has lights on it, it has a field, it has everything else. What's gonna be the pushback?
Nothing.
Nothing? You guys would all be on board with that?
If we didn't have to maintain it, I would
We
totally.
wouldn't. As a matter of fact, by law, we can't. It's
We would have to do the sign maintaining of it.
Right.
Just the, we need, no,
What's the roadmap to get there? And what's involved? Like, is it just talking or? is
So
this,
me and Dwayne, we met with Terry again. I had met with Terry previously and I've talked to him ad nauseam about it, but essentially what we have to do is, make a proposal for the Friends of the Park. And then the Friends of the Park are sort of the buffer between the, council and regular people. And so you make a proposal, you say, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is what we want to do, this is where we want to do it. And then if they say yes, which according to Terry, the amount of original ideas out there that are actually feasible is pretty low. So if they say yes, then we can go to the Parks Department. Once we go to the Parks Department, there's two avenues. One is we fundraise and raise the money to facilitate, which for us, facilitating is really not that expensive, right? As long as we have a spot and we have someplace to lock up, which they have buildings already out there to lock up. And the spot is basically, it's already, there's already a parking lot and all that by the place that we're looking at. The other one is we wait on the city to pay for the whole shebang, which if they approve it, then they will put money into it. Now, they would still put money into it after we fundraised if that was successful. But if we waited on them, it would probably take a year or two.
So,
but another important thing that he also said was that we have to show how this is gonna benefit that community as well. And putting this.
which was leading into what I was about to say.
So the problem is the barrier entry is pretty high.
Yeah, I
Well, no,
mean,
but they don't care about the very entry. What they want to know money, like a flat number, which I think they just want to know budget. Like the city, it was
It's
a
not even
number.
budget.
we
It's
just
not
want
even
to
a
know.
budget.
not at all.
It's just it's a plan and how
The
we're
city-
gonna better this property from going to waste into something better.
Right, but then to
help this
enact
community.
that, what's that gonna take?
they don't even care about
Us
money.
doing
They're
what we're
just
doing
saying,
now.
hey, we want somebody to take this piece of property and do something with it.
Don't let it go to slum.
Right,
Let it
because
slum out.
I've
Yeah,
been
that's
up
what
there,
the
I've been up
proposals
there
or
like
anything
3
that, so we're
times.
still gonna-
All of the
I'm not saying
baseball
it's a
fields
negative
out there,
thing, we're just saying, like,
there's grass. I mean, you can't even tell where there's dirt, from the bases.
So, but we have,
Here's the one thing I will say. Have you guys ever been to Kennedy Park anytime
Yes.
during the day?
Yes.
You ever put your
when GT Road Cross, we went there.
you ever put your goggles down by yourself?
But we would better it. We would make it.
Right, I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
it-
so there's the pushback, right? If people are afraid of getting raped, then people aren't gonna go out there.
That's my only concern is it's right down the street.
And
Right.
to be honest, somebody's gonna get robbed out there.
Yeah.
All right, but does that mean, but no. That's a point. One of us probably is gonna get robbed. But does that mean that we don't do it? Does that mean that we don't facilitate a free place for people to race and fly and a night
telling you
place?
though,
That is paid
You get
for?
robbed in the corner right here.
Exactly.
Right, but what I'm saying.
But I don't think we'll have a problem because we never go, who goes out alone most of the time to go fly?
Right,
Yeah, I
But
mean,
where do you go alone to go fly?
Barnstormers.
Over Shelby Farms? Barnstormers.
okay, so this
Yeah.
is the perfect solution to that right there. If this becomes an RC park or whatever, then they're gonna allow us to lock it up. They're gonna allow us to do everything.
That is true. That
There's
is-
also Sky
that is
Cops
true.
out there too.
Right, there's several Sky Cops out there. I've been out there several times.
There's several Sky Cops out there. Where do they put Sky Cops?
Yes,
Yeah.
like when
They're
you
all
pull
That's
in.
the point. We get it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what he's saying is absolutely true. Like, there will be trusted members of 901 FPV that would then also be a part of the Friends of the Park deal, that they get the keys to the castle. You can turn the lights on, you can turn the lights off, you can open the gate, you can close the gate.
I mean, I think it's an awesome idea.
I think it's great too.
It would be a step to zoom out. We're micro cross section right now. For the macro cross section, it would be a city sponsored FPV community.
Who makes the decisions about things in that though? Is mine.
That's where I think we could, if we come up with a proposal and 901 FPV is kind of like that, like the fishing body that,
We should have somebody. that's
and then we have a
presenting.
budget and we work out with things. I think, I mean, we're not, you didn't
Right.
like the put a thing to it, but we're gonna have to make it great. I think it should have better than 5x5 gates and all this other stuff, and we will need the number to show the city of what we would need to fundraise.
They earmark so much money a year
Right.
that they end up not
Right.
spending.
That's also a plus. If we said it's not gonna take a lot, we build all our stuff. So like just having that number is better for us. I think. It
But
would
The
make
biggest
us more
question they're gonna
professional.
ask is, how is this gonna benefit the community?
But this is
Still.
another thing that I've
You
been,
just dropped that word.
Yeah, and then
talking
you get
to-
University of Memphis involved.
I've been talking to all of the,
Yeah,
or
so
some
we have all
car
the key
guys,
pieces. It's just-
because there's 5 unused fields out there. 5. We can only use 1 at a time. So I've been talking to some car guys about putting a crawler track out there, a couple of dirt tracks out there. They're talking about even like putting a drag track out there for RC cars.
So that's like 901 FPV then becomes part of a body that like this
To make the
park.
RC Mecca now.
Right,
Here in
right.
Memphis.
And then we're not
That used
talking
to be
about
here
us.
in Memphis years and years ago. It
But
used to
like
be
you
here.
said, we're
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah,
We're
that's the
pretty-
idea.
we're
It's
pretty
an
far
RF.
away.
It's an RF park.
Well, we had to submit to.
Would we require, AMA for something like that?
It could be sanctioned as an AMA.
I can't imagine that I can't imagine the city wanting to have that liability.
We don't-
She knows people that.
We have to, whatever body we go and make the proposal and tell them about it, it has nothing to do with drones. It is an RC park.
Right.
Shelby Farms is owned by the city, or is it a separate?
Or
entity?
separate
Separate
entity.
entity.
Yeah.
And they have an AMA official field there.
They're gonna want to know
Is
the
it an
insurance and
official
everything.
field?
Right.
or-
That's an AMA. field.
But AMA, all it is just an insurance
Governing body.
underwriter. You know what I mean? I mean, we could go to Allstate and get an insurance for Kennedy Park if we wanted to. You know what I mean? And that
Well,
way-
no, but what I'm trying to just ask is it doesn't have to be AMA, but AMA just happens to have rules and restrictions in place for this specific thing, but they're
Right.
gonna want some sort of requirement, I would assume, for some kind of liability insurance
Right.
in this situation.
If we convince them that it's a good idea to do it, a lot of that is not gonna be on our backs. The city will be the ones who have to, put all that stuff in place. And that's not to say that they don't already have
What's-
insurance put in place for that.
What's our first step on this?
So we've already made the first step, which is figuring out what the contacts and everything is.
Okay.
What's the first step?
Proposal, right?
Friends of the Park proposal.
And
All right,
I've
who wants to
already
By
Proposal.
us
I've
or by
already
this group?
talked
By
to,
this group.
right, I called, Blair, I can't remember his first name. Anyway, he's the president of the,
What does Friends of the Parks need? What does that proposal need? You listed off a few things already.
well, I mean, they're gonna get with us to help us write the proposal for, the Parks Commission.
So are we waiting?
All
on them
right,
or
who's
they
gonna be
waiting on us?
task leader on that?
Right, so yeah, I called him, and I talked to him
I don't
Wednesday.
mind writing a proposal, but I didn't know what it needs. to be.
Right. Well, whenever we figure it out, because I mean, we
Did he
still
ever
have,
send you that copy of that, either email you that copy of that?
yeah.
So who's been acting as lead right now?
But it's kind of like me and Alex.
So a committee?
Who wants lead?
Wanna rush in, though?
No, I mean, I'd like to give it to you.
I would like to give it to you.
Well,
I'll take it. I know you're busy with other stuff.
All right. That's in your card.
Thanks to Ryan. Do we make it official as EVP?
Well, we gotta get Ross in this discussion. I think it's probably a good idea, especially,
Or
we could probably just do it online. I mean, if everybody's thinking the same way I'm thinking. Because having somebody on the board that we're gonna be traveling a lot. Have somebody run the ship.
At the same time, he's gonna be traveling with us every single.
Not every time. I mean, that regional qualifier season, are you?
I mean, you've traveled with us at every event we've gone to. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was more honestly trying to get less, just. get
Okay,
more
well, I
people
need
in.
somebody at home, I guess, is really my.
Does that have to be a board member?
No, it
No,
doesn't.
but it does give some accountability. So, but no, it doesn't have to be much.
So what would they be responsible for?
To help to, so we can schedule some races, put out a schedule, and if it conflicts with something that we're traveling on, it still gets done.
Or if we go somewhere just to be able to hold a practice session, we'll be responsible for said local 901 FPV presence.
That too.
But would y'all really want to host a race and not be here?
Not necessarily a host, a race, just practice.
The club have the
anything like that.
feeling that they can still do things.
Yeah, 'cause last year we were gone.
Maybe that's
Right.
making a list. We have race directors. Me, him, like, do you consider yourself a race director?
That was a new software.
Okay. 3
Another
race
thing about
directors, add
the,
one more.
another thing about the races
Oh,
is
there you
that a lot of times when we go to other places, we end up doing a lot over there anyway. So then it feels like, I know I've heard Alec talk about it especially, it feels like, you run a race every weekend if you're trying to do a weekend away and then a weekend here. So,
Get burnt out quick.
yeah,
It's
so it's
hard
not
to-
necessarily that we would do races when we're all away, but
Right.
it would just be that if we were gone for whatever reason, then, and the next weekend there was a race, it would be a lot less stressful to make it a good event.
Right.
Because ultimately, we can go out and fly anytime together.
Right.
But we want everybody that would have everyone have a good time.
So let me ask you this. Where all would you say that you would travel to? Like, what's the furthest y'all traveled?
Vegas.
9 hours.
I'm saying,
9 hours to Muncie.
okay, to Muncie, but that was for
14 hours to Muncie.
right.
That's what
No, that's not.
It's like 16, dude.
16 hours.
I guess what I'm saying is
We go to Muncie once a year, we go to Louisville once a year.
within 5 hours of Memphis, there's a lot of places. And why can't we build the relationship with these people to where we're all on the same schedule, to where we're not having to.
That's been a struggle since.
Once,
Yeah.
once like qualifiers and whatnot, like that's when chapters do kind of try and mingle together and schedule qualifiers around each other.
Right, that's what I'm
hosting
saying.
just little small local practice events.
Right.
It's hard to draw somebody,
Look.
especially without having.
Hell
A reason
Invasion
for
is
them
the
to come.
event to schedule that non-conflicting with others so we can get it figured.
So the goal to do these regular races is to foster local.
Yeah.
Not to bring in big guys.
Right, but to get these local people, you bring in some big guys who want to see.
Well, it's an intimidation factor.
Yeah.
You think so?
It is,
Yeah, because it
yeah.
becomes a big event and then
Jason?
They don't want to get on the field and stop that pilot. from-
They do not come to
So,
they come to us.
right.
They
so
they
that
watch,
was-
but they're like, I'm not flying. I'm not doing it."
Right, but that right there is perfect for the sportsmen and then the other class.
Dave,
That's gonna happen regardless. When
Did you
a pilot like
feel
that's ready to come. they're
intimidated? Didn't want to come fly with the likes of whoever you
I think my
know.
first time I didn't want to do it without like Jason, so he and I started doing this together.
Oh.
And there's there's more of a like I don't fucking know y'all.
Language, man. Language,
Right,
man.
so Jason, did you feel?
There was an intimidation factor for me, getting into it, but.
There's still
So you
people.
came into it-
I'm still intimidated with flying with you guys. The charge is so much better than I am, but I've still gotta get out there.
Okay,
I know what I've gotta do to get better.
So next
Yeah.
It's a
question,
different type of.
did you come out and
a lot
fly
of people
to
have.
race? Did you come out and fly to meet new people? Did you come out and fly to freestyle? What did you come out and fly with people first?
What was your
for?
motivating factor?
Freestyle was my first.
Freestyle, okay, what did you come out for? Freestyle
To
or
learn how to
race?
race.
Okay, so that right there is the difference of why he may not have been so intimidated where
Might
he
wanna
did,
check.
because,
I've always, and also on the top, I've always been in a competitive, I've always motocross raced.
Right.
I've always raced something, and to get in this and be like,
That's a good idea, Josh.
Good.
on doing some other hobby aspect where I get in there and I can compete.
Right.
You know, it's
So I
a
was just
lot
trying to
different.
say for the.
Tim, no, they won't really allow unlimited access. You have to be a Barnstormers member to be access to Barnstormers.
So.
But once you're a Barnstormers member, you have full access to the field. But they won't. They still. I mean, you could pay 901 the Barnstormers membership, and we could pay them, and then you could be a Barnstormers member. But it's just you just become a Barnstormers member. That's all.
The regional series guys at the university.
Well, see, I mean, and that just shows you like how everybody's different because them two are different. But if I saw something like that and I knew who they were, like if the first video that just hooked me was that nerd video of him with the train, you know, and if I saw a thing like on the hobby shop that said, you know, race, you know, Nert's gonna be there or whatever. I'm like, man, I'd like to go just to, you know, see him fly or, you know, meet him or whatever.
I think there's a lot of people like that also, but if they're not already flying.
Right.
Yeah, like
Is that a-
0.01% of the
Okay.
of the general population.
So 0.01% of the population. But how many people do you think Nert has inspired to start
So
flying?
do you want to come watch him fly or do you want to come try and fly against him? That's
Me,
also
and in the
question.
beginning, to see him fly.
So, but
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. That's also discouraging a racer to come out to just a general event having,
The sign up pilots.
right, to sign up big name pilots like that.
Right.
I think a couple of things we could do for this year is date for possible schedule, but like some dates for Heli Maiden, make it great this year.
The
And, like-
scheduling right now is only issue with that is we're still waiting on MultiGP to decide how we're doing
Okay,
it.
so
But we're gonna have basically two big races, I would think, this year, and one of them is.
I mean,
put
we
that out
can,
there to the public. When we come out of this, we're gonna come out with some bullet points, what we talked about. We're gonna have some things for people to look forward to that we can,
Right. Like, I think we
I mean,
definitely
getting
should
Nerd is a
have-
long shot, but if we can plan it right and it's where it's a dead season.
Right, I was just-
I was just using that as an example as
Right.
intimidation, because I didn't want to come out. I
Yeah.
barely came out the first Heli Innovation I came to. And you know what? I crashed all three of my heats. I packed my bag and I left because I felt humiliated.
Yeah.
To a sense. That's my competitive nature.
Because we didn't really have an intermediate, this doesn't really matter type thing involved.
Right.
And I think that is also one of the biggest reasons why the Tiny Hawk is so good. And even in that little cosm, there were people the other day which I wasn't at the big one, but there were people at the High Cotton one that after we all raced the first lap, they're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it.
Well, I also got ruined me.
So,
But that was a fun flight. I don't think that should be nice. I think that should be definitely.
Those are fun class. We're
Yeah.
good times. I mean, I think the
I
sportsman
think,
class
yeah,
will
low
help. this
stress events.
But we've done, so if you're kind of more newer and you just started with us this year, we did sportsman intermediate class before. We did
Just
it.
didn't have the membership.
We just didn't have the membership. We've gotten to the point now where we do have people that would enter into that. In the past, we haven't had membership. We would do a sportsman class. We'd have one guy sign up for it. And I would go, sorry, I'm just going to bump you into the main
I'm
heat.
not gonna build for that.
I'm bumping you into the main heat, but now we have that, and I think, MultiGP is going towards it. We're going to go towards it. We're going to have a sportsman class this year. It's going to be, you can jump in there if you want to be a sportsman. If you consider yourself a sportsman, you jump in there. I think that's the best way to do it. I don't know what MultiGP is doing, if they're going to allow us to. I think the plan is for them to have that as a field in your user profile that you can select if you're intermediate or pro. But I don't know where they're going with that. I can talk to Perry about that and see, but I think that would make it really easy. Because we're not going to have sandbaggers. We all know who shouldn't be a sportsman in this area.
Well, I was talking to Boudin Balls about this at IO, and
I see you.
they do the intermediate class, and once you win that intermediate class,
You get a bump up.
you no longer in it.
And that's the way we did it. I think you had to win 3 times. Yeah. We did it 3 times. I think Brandon was in it for a while. And then we bumped him up to pro. And then he kind of didn't have a great time. If you're in that level where you're doing that, I can't imagine you not wanting to race. I mean, with the rest of us. Really, the way I consider so much of our local stuff is practice for a lot of other stuff. So, I mean, it's not really a big deal for me, at least.
Well, I would say for us
Yeah.
as Team White Coat, that would be very true, but we have to look at 901, and that's just where people generally come out to fly. We're out there practicing, pushing our limit.
Yeah.
And they're just coming out to have a good time.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not good for it's not good for people to come out to Barnstormers when we're doing like, all right, you're up. That stuff, people don't want to be around any of that.
Yeah, we get it. We'll get them more.
I mean,
think
we
it's-
enjoy it, but
And we did too much of that this past year.
yeah, and that was part. Dwayne, said something about that earlier. When he kind of first came in, was like, why don't you guys ever invite people out to practice it? It's like, well, because we're practicing. It's not fun for anybody else. And when other people come around, we end up, fixing their stuff or whatever. And it's ultimately,
You make it a remark that you don't, like, we're not trying to be mean, but we're not,
Yeah.
I don't want to fix your stuff right now.
yeah, ultimately, everybody has to realize that we're hobbyists as well.
Yeah.
And consider this
We
too. I
want
think
to help.
last year we had 6 regions in multi-GP. So the problem with that is that our qualifying region ran for like 4 months or
Yeah.
3 months. And so that whole time, what did we all focus on? We focused on doing that. This year there's going to be 12.
Immediately following was finals.
Yeah.
With no time to do anything in between.
Yeah.
It was prep for finals.
And they're probably gonna release a whole new structure for finals and nationals.
Yeah. So during that, I think we're going to get a shorter time that we're all doing that practice stuff and then all that kind of stuff. I think. I'm thinking that's the way it's going to be. So we'll have more time to focus on these more local events. So I think some of that's being worked out naturally by the way the changes to multi-GP. Some of it is, we are still probably going to have those times where we go out there and practice. Anybody's welcome to those things. It's just sometimes we go out there and we do the team practicing and all that kind of stuff.
So we can definitely all agree on that we need smaller, like less intimidating events.
Okay, so
And then 2 big ones.
2 big ones. It's going to be the regional qualifier.
RQ and Hell Invasion.
Yeah, which isn't Hell Invasion, but
We'll rename it.
Quad invasion.
Quad invasion.
And hopefully MultiGP releases that stuff before our next board meeting. So we will announce we're doing 2 big races, dates coming. And then we need to put some tech days, promise some things for people to look forward that they can help us with tech days.
I was going to bring that up.
Well, we do kind of need to wrap this up. It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we need to just, some things to look forward to. We don't need to establish dates or,
Okay, we don't
Get
need to
too
establish
detailed.
dates, but is there a cadence that we want to try to push for?
we want to
Like
put
every
sorts
2
of
weeks,
cadence.
every 3
See,
weeks?
that's
Once
what
a
I was
month.
thinking.
Once a month.
Yeah,
Once a
that's
month?
once a month.
Once
At-
a month's pretty good.
at-
cadence.
Like
I think-
third week of the month.
I think 2 things we should do is
On a Friday.
a tech day. I think there's people that want to get into it. We should help them. It doesn't have to be like a build day. I know Eric was wanting some help with some stuff. I think that'd be good. So tech day within the next month.
Okay, do we want to do a cadence on that, or do we just,
We'll figure it out. Let's just, something to
ad hoc.
promise people, we're
But
gonna
even
pass the
this
information
group
back out to the public.
That
and
knows
see all this
that can't
stuff.
help
What can they look forward to?
everyone.
Long-term,
Everyone has
short-term,
questions. I still
midterm.
have questions.
Short-term, we're gonna have
In
a
our
tech day.
chats, do you have any
and
questions?
Tiny Hawk
We all
races.
ask each other.
Midterm, we wanna do a build day, and we wanna do a 5-inch
The honest
race.
stuff, we still
Long-term,
asking
we got
our-
RQ and Hell Invasion coming up.
all around.
February, like
Today there was one show. Y'all haven't done a couple of like build days last year. That's what I was.
Build day is logistics, a lot of logistics.
So what do,
it's not bad, but build day the way I don't mind doing a build day. It's just we talked about it the other day when you messaged me was that build day the way that works is we basically say like here's all the components. You guys pay $350. We're going to buy all the components so that we can all sit down and build the exact same quad for everybody. It's a little bit different than you were talking about.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. I'm listening and I think that, being incredibly new to this, I mean, not RCs, we've always been about RCs, whether it was trucks or, Traxxas or whatever, that kind of thing. But he's been trying to get into, the FPV stuff for a few years now, and it's not like you can go to the hobby store and you can buy the truck with the battery and that you can leave with everything you need, go home, and then bam, you're in it. It's kind of daunting, how does this all fit together? It's so much, and I think that, and you guys all
That's-
possess so much knowledge collectively that if you could somehow funnel that and make that accessible, and I know you guys don't want to sit around and just run a school, but if you came up with like
A YouTube
Books.
channel.
a YouTube,
Yeah.
just some simple
I
stuff.
think that stuff's already out there. We
Yeah,
have
like
a webpage, we
Rotor
we can have an information knowledge base.
What do you guys want about
Why don't we do once a year, instead of like, we can do tech days and stuff like that, right? But why don't once a year we have like a 901 FPV Academy where we have like 2 days or maybe on like Labor Day weekend or something. So every
So
year.
do like what Rotorite does, have basically a tech
Okay, so our
weekend and they
next
charge.
birthday,
Cause we could market that to people
Spend some
in
advertising
Jackson,
dollars.
Mississippi and people in Nashville, people
whoever
from
wants to put
wherever.
their money on it. We are going to host a build day, date pending. As a club, we're gonna spend some marketing dollars on it so that we don't, the response to what you're talking about was, our first one, we capped out at 10, our third one, our second one, we only got 3 people. So it was a lot of like build up and getting people involved and all sorts of stuff for that. Not saying it wasn't beneficial, it's just like
Well, I think
making sure we can get
because
done
usually I like to
prices.
schedule stuff out at least a month.
We can
So,
do 3 months and then really get some people
Well, I
and
think
spend advertising dollars.
After my club starts for a little bit, because I'm not letting the kids take the drones home. Like, they belong to the schools, and they're gonna want the drones.
They're gonna wanna build one.
And so, like, the school's a wealthy school, they have money, and they're gonna wanna buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
So realistically, what is a number you're looking for a build day? Like
10.
what,
For us,
10.
feasibly for us to manage it and like 10 people. who
10
vote,
people?
I think I have 30 people signed up so far.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, we could
I would
have,
do it. I would
realize it's a cost.
participate in a 30-person build day. I bet we could do it.
If you can do that every year.
I think our
that's one
talent
thing,
would
but
be
what
too
we're saying is
well,
2
stretched
years,
out.
where are you
one
gonna
year,
put
no
30
next
people
year,
to
no
do it?
10
Here.
University.
Right.
And there's just
Okay,
not.
all right. But what I'm saying is, so why
And then
can't
that
we
bunch of people
do,
has to be coming in
say, like,
while we're doing that build
like
day.
in
Right.
April,
Then my kids grade out, and new grades kids come in.
in April when it
Someone
rains a
in
lot
seventh
anyway,
grade, so it's
how come we
constant.
can't
And they can be there
schedule
years,
3
and
build
that's
Like,
days
I'm
in a
hoping people,
month?
like, literally to grow it into other
It all
schools to
depends on-
absorb it and start.
Yeah, I'm
I don't
wanna do 3 build days.
Well, but do you see what I'm saying though? In the rainy times, you're not doing anything anyway, so that would be a good time
Right.
to
Well, the
get.
thing is winter is a good time.
Right.
Right before spring, so you can actually go out and fly. A good time. The thing is that conflicts with if they keep the same regiment last year with multi GP, it's going to conflict with a race schedule.
Right.
Okay, so-
yeah.
An easy way for you to pick it, we're gonna have a regional qualifier, we're gonna know what date that's gonna be,
And then once we
back
have
that
that,
up, that's our build day. So that
but the
they have
thing is
something
I
to
need a
go towards.
1 month lead to publicize it, and we might be in that.
Okay, so worst case, I don't know.
I'm thinking,
I've learned enough that I can help with tech days too.
yeah, I'm thinking
Hey, let
April,
somebody talk, he's
we
been.
can do it.
For talent for people that we need to facilitate a build day with 30 people, we need maybe like 5 people who know how to build a quad, and we need maybe another 5 people who know how to solve it. That's really it.
Well, you almost need a 1-on-2 relationship.
I don't think so.
Josh was
You
saying.
think it's stations?
marketing.
I think that stations is a good idea. I mean, like we've done it in an entire classroom, but what you could have is you could have 4 or 5 stations and then somebody to help out at each station, a helper at each station, and you can push through 30 people.
We've
in a
found
day.
that about a month and a half does better.
A month and a half, according to.
The past ones we've done, 3 months, he was saying 3 months, for a marketing and tech day, but
Well, the thing is so once you get it, you got to go and say, oh, I need goggles.
Yep.
And I need.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
A
so it's
lot of
a
money.
logistical thing, but-
So you're going to spread it across a couple months.
month and a half is what I found, like when we've done them in the past, people start signing up about a month and a half out. And then
And everybody except for one person pays on the day of, or the due date.
So let me ask you this, how come with all the resources we have, we can't put together a package for build day with goggles or
We have
radio?
every year.
We can, but the
The-
thing is,
The biggest thing is we don't include the goggles because if you see $650 on the price tag, it's a little bit different than me saying it's $350.
Right.
And then I say it's $350, so we build the quad, but you have to buy this other stuff.
It's easiest just to suggest that and let them determine
Yeah.
how much they want to spend on their own goggles.
They don't have to buy their goggles. We don't have to buy their goggles.
it's not like we're assembling the goggles.
Right.
Okay, so you're
right.
saying
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
get in a relationship to where if they wanna buy everything from us, they could, which we could.
I got you.
Get that relationship with RDQ or somebody if we have the amount of people I mean, if we have
But the
orders
thing is
already
if
for
there's
it,
any kind of RMA claims or something like that,
who handles it,
I
right?
don't want
It's
to go
us.
through the group
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
You're
so-
talking $3,000 just for the drone parts, if you're including the other stuff. We don't have that capital.
Right.
I think with the growth of membership, just Tiny Hawk, just in timing of being close to tax season, we could put a build date out there somewhere.
I think in
We'll
April-
Yeah, the problem is if we set one out and then it conflicts with something that we're doing in
I'm
our.
not saying we're not going to set the date
I can,
now,
let
just-
me speak with Tommy, but I'm thinking sometime in third weekend of April.
I mean, since we've got enough roots in
It's
multiple,
a good time to do it.
can we say, well, we're setting a build date here, do not schedule anything?
Well, I can tell, they kind of know what they're doing. They just haven't published it, and they have the tier 1 meetings like once a month. They haven't done one this year, but
This is January, we're
this is supposed to
gonna have
decide it.
information real soon.
The
so-
next one is supposed to decide it. I think we set a goal for April for a build day. You get a lot of people coming in off the Tiny Hawk season that are gonna want to get into 5-inch stuff. We bring them right into that.
I like that.
We hit our numbers, and I think that'll work.
First
Let's
stage of
move
marketing
on.
could just be a general.
Yeah, just a
say
build
we're
day in
doing it.
April.
Yeah, done. Okay, cool. Let's continue. We got to finish this up. Other people run races. Already covered that one. Public meetings. I think build day is good. I also think we should do the ham license thing.
Okay, I'll follow up on that.
Yeah, let's get that going because I know I'll do it. I'll give it a
Add
ham.
to it.
Yeah.
It's ham test.
Yeah.
You need it to
Okay.
be legal.
And I'll
Or
tag
just
that
having that would
as-
make this look so official.
So who wants the project lead on the build day?
I'll handle it. This ham gun. That's fine with me.
Neil will handle marketing and.
Yeah, I already have all the stuff pretty much from the other one.
Do we want to set a budget for marketing? We're gonna,
I mean, it's popping in the chat if you want to do it. We'll just approve it on the fly.
Marketing.
Well, maybe have that on the agenda for the
I
next
think we
meeting
should
to have a
probably
marketing
spend-
budget.
dollars on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
We do a lot of that
$50
already.
do
I mean,
something.
in the past for the build days, I put posters at the hobby shop. I did
Yeah,
all
I
that.
just feel like that, I mean, it
Word of
was
mouth.
$2
Oh,
per
yes.
person. I paid for
Yeah.
some for the adventure race, and it paid out to $2 per person, I think. Like, I think we could put in some money and get some people, like, fill up maybe 20, like, I don't think 30, but we could, like, up our number,
Okay.
get better MRQs, make more money.
Two things I want to cover before we adjourn. Do we want to do like, this is kind of a small thing, but like a discount for under 17 pilots?
Discount on what?
Age, like a discount for
Like on a
charging for a
race?
race, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, is it,
Counter offer, just, 901 MPP membership that gives you discounts at races, and it's like, I mean, like, everybody, not just kids get a discount, everybody gets a
Back in that
discount.
logistical problem.
yeah, that's what it was, logistics. Ben would have to handle all
Yeah, no.
You
that.
could just say 16 and under gets the same price as, well, we'll just.
Well, like, so like, if we're
Okay, so
having,
the age needs to be pretty.
for example,
pretty
if
low,
we're having a
like 18
race-
under, 16 or under.
for example,
Well,
we're having,
Evan Turner, it could be 14 and under.
for example, we're having a race at,
Mhm.
let's say in towners, 901 FPV members is what I'm saying. If we're having a race out at Barnstormers, if you're not a member, you have to pay $5 to enter.
Mm.
Still gonna charge $5. But I'm saying that if we're charging everybody $10, 17 and under is only $5. Is all I'm saying. So to basically to cover our costs.
For Barnstormers.
Yeah, or anywhere else, like
Oh, right, okay.
the putt-putt, I mean.
So why don't we do this? Why don't, whenever we set up races, say, hey, it's gonna be X amount of dollars, and then if you don't sign up by this day, it'll be $5 extra to sign up at the race.
So is this a spitball
Like a-
thing?
like a
The-
door.
the-
Or
the
what's
doors
the
are-
goal here?
I just was thinking
The
about
goal
it.
here is to
It's
save
not,
money
it's,
for people who
there's
don't
been
have money,
no
right?
feedback
Right,
on
kids,
this. I've had
right.
no issues with this, but I was just bringing it up as a concept.
Right. But it kind of just made me think though, how you were always telling everybody to sign up on multi-GP. I had no idea why until Lucas told me. So now I'm one of the first ones to sign up. But a lot of the other people don't know that.
Well, that's why.
That's not really something that hinders us from executing what we need to do.
Right, but it'll save us from the day of the
You
race.
saw
and we're
it
running
because
around
some
trying to.
young people had a problem
$500
coming up with a race fee.
Yes.
You feel like it would be beneficial for younger kids to have a cheaper.
Yeah, somebody,
Yeah.
Right, we're not trying to name any name, that's a need that you wanted to solve, and
Right.
so, do we want to have cheaper race fee for 16 and under, yes or no?
Yes.
Or have a cheaper fee to.
Anybody that just
A
comes to race
cheaper
with us.
initial fee and
No-
a
no official.
day of fee.
Right, that's what, yeah.
I mean, that,
Pay at the door. Well, they said.
or you have your, whatever the fee is for the race,
So-
if you sign up on time before the race, and then you have a day of fee.
And we don't have to do that
that-
we don't have to do that with every single race. either,
Right,
I don't
right.
think. I mean, if we're having like
Like
just,
Heli, Quad Invasion or
Is-
something.
I think that's something that needs to be done for
We can
that.
figure that out as we
The
go.
the last item, so we'll just table that to the next meeting. I think for right now it's fine. We can work with
Yeah.
people if we need to. Last item, this is the one that I really want to talk about, shed build day. When can we do that? I know it's rainy, but
I mean, the ground soft, so that's kind
Did
of
you talk
big.
to dude and we can put poles in the ground and he can work around it. We can hang that, that'll.
the first like dry season, Kim, who would want to help with that? I guess is really my question. Like, I mean,
Let's put it out there and
I'll
and
help.
I don't want to PV and get a building list. People can put out a thing, sign up if you want to help.
Right.
I would like to
Digging
help, but I would not want to leave it, so.
digging holes, and we're gonna put him in that position to lead it.
Well, he's already got two or three things right now. He's
That's one of our summers.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that ain't gonna be nothing to.
No, I don't think.
Oh, you set a date and I'll have everything else.
I'll verify with Brandon, but he needs a couple days for it to dry out. He's gonna go out there, level the land, and try to get the gravel to drive out there, and then we'll be good on that.
So we want to wait until after he does that?
I don't think so. Because
I don't think so
It
either,
doesn't
because
matter to us.
I
if
don't
it's
want
level.
to dig through the
Right.
rock and then dig the holes.
I think we can level it with the
Or are we
gravel.
getting a post hole digger?
Sure.
You got two of them.
Boom.
Well, I'm just
Volunteer.
saying everybody does.
All right.
I mean, yeah, looks good. We got to get the poles, the free poles.
He's gonna bring
them.
I just have to tell him to bring.
Okay.
So we're gonna put those on those telephone poles.
Can we mount those? Is that
Make
good?
it work, dude.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, I
free
mean,
poles.
we can make it work.
Do we have a list of like materials that are needed?
Roofing and
A bunch of live bolts.
Yeah. And live
Roofing
bolts.
is.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff.
Roofing and-
We got everything built.
Yeah.
We're waiting for some.
To assemble and timing.
Yeah.
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 We've had it out there for a while.
How big are the poles you're trying to set in the ground?
They're gonna be telephone poles. They're not that.
I guess just chainsaw.
Red oak.
Yeah, I've got two chainsaws.
Yeah.
No, I have a gas powered auger, I just didn't.
That would be
know what size
excellent.
Oh, really?
Sweet.
It's not telephone pole stuff?
Yeah.
He said we can go
You
however
know what,
we
though?
need
That'll
to,
get the hole
just
done,
as long
and
as
you
we
just
see
take
like.
a sharpshooter.
Yeah, Tam.
We can rent one too, I mean, I think.
Not one for telephone poles.
Well, I mean, if we can get a big enough trailer,
He
my,
works for the
Might know
city.
somebody
that's
works
the
on
job.
LJW.
He said, even though it's a.
I mean, my dad was
Across
around
the
for
layer
30
on
years.
top of it.
Bro,
He
He
knows how
said, go
to,
as
he
far
knows how
as
to
you
do
want
it.
to put those things in there.
Alex?
Seal it.
we can
That's
be like,
too
I
That's
know.
required, but maybe it's some
Signalizing.
way of contacting your brain around it.
Like,
I've been putting all the, except for the last one.
Josh is glad to help, and so is Tim. Consistent micro races will help new people ultimately want to race 5-inch, but the TH race is what got me out. Cool. Thanks, Anonymous. Yeah, I think that's the plan is for us to continue to do a bunch of micro stuff in the winter season and kind of transition into the 5-inch.
Your wife?
All right, guys, signing off. Thanks for
Bye.
checking it out. We got a couple volunteers, Tim and Josh.